Camera's rolling. We shouldn't have been drinking so much before we just started shooting this. Should I do the show intro first? I don't really have like a routine here yet, so I looked up. So this is the second time we've done this. This is actually the third time we've done this. The first time was experimental. We had some problems, but the second time was even worse. The second time was so bad that we never even aired the footage because it was completely unusable. I've only had this phone for 5 years now, so I'm still figuring out how, trying to figure out how it works. The focus just wasn't working and all that stuff. So, this is attempt 3. We're gonna see where we can go with this. I've tried to eliminate all the possible points of failure along the way here to make sure this works. That said, I probably just jinxed the whole thing, but we're gonna see how it goes. The second attempt, totally unusable. Audio sounded great. Video was completely unusable. So to keep things simple, we're just doing one box, just one box this time, and this box was in the second video that didn't get aired for obvious reasons, but I'm gonna do my best to act surprised. I'm not classically trained when it comes to acting. I've picked up a few things along the way, so we'll see. I have my note. I'm all prepared and ready to go. This is from, I don't know if it's Andy or Andre. Beautiful penmanship. It's cursive. I love it. Thank you. But I honestly cannot read your name. It's either Andy or Andre from Toronto, Canada. Go Canada. Dear Dan, Toy Galaxy, big fan of the show, overall content, going old school and writing a letter by hand. Actually don't have a printer, LOL. Sending you some toys as I had to pare down my collection. A chunk of these are from when I first started collecting. So there's quite a bit more to the letter. I'm not gonna read it all because the rest is all very spoilery as far as what's in the actual box here. Spoilery for you, not for me, because I already know what's in the box. Right off the top here, we've got, this bag here has some Gundam model kits, and actually the instruction booklets are right here as well. We've got Wing Gundam 0, and then Wing Gundam 0 Custom. This is like candy cane, candy corn, candy, candy cane, candy corn. Candy. It's just candy. Candy, candy cane, candy corn. All right, very good. It's corn syrup. But yeah, so all 3 of these models are in here, and that's ridiculous. I'm a fan of Wing in general, but Wing 0 Custom is pretty much like top 5 Gundam designs for me personally. I'm pretty sure all the pieces are here. This is very nicely packed in here. Guns, beam sabers, shields, wings. Yep, all the little V-fins are in here. So I'm guessing these are, I know that today they Bandai just announced a couple of more suits actually from Gundam Wing. I haven't been paying attention to the model kits closely enough since they started. I'm guessing this is like 2nd generation. Most of this HG, and that's what these are, HG level kits, high grade. They all have like the interior skeletons now. They're a lot more elaborate. They're a lot more intricate. So I don't know if Andre is upgrading his kits and is going to go for the newer kits, or if these are just, just super awesome gifts. I'll leave it at that. The other thing we have right on top here is the Batman and Robin Batmobile. Not my favorite. Oh yeah, Joel Schumacher died, like today. Yeah. All right, R.I.P. I don't know if this Batman has... It is not nipple accurate, unfortunately. It is no nips on this Batman. But this is the George Clooney Batman though, so that's cool. I never had this one, so I don't know how it works. I feel like this pops out, it's a ram, or like these teeth come down somehow, but I'll be honest, I don't know where the button is, and I struggled with this when we shot this last time, and I don't want to struggle with it anymore this time either. But yeah, it's all here. It's in good condition. I have the '89, I have the Keaton Batmobile, so, that works well with it. Hey, things I don't know a lot about, Dragon Ball Z. I know this is Goku. That's about as far as I go with it. I've seen some episodes. I really haven't seen that much of it. And I just don't know if I have the time to get caught up ever. There's so many episodes that it just, you gotta be dedicated. You really gotta want to get involved with that. I thought at first that this was I thought this was like his energy blast that he was putting in here, but it's actually just a completely different figure. I don't know if this is another Goku. He's got like the fiery, blondish, translucent hair. He looks really angry. He's actually got 3 points of articulation. Not bad for such a tiny little figure. But I don't know who this is, so you'll have to let me know. It might be in the note. I didn't read the whole note. I didn't want to spoil anything for myself the first time around, or the second time around. This is a Wolverine. Probably from that X-Men Classics era, just before Marvel Legends really took off and started doing a lot more with articulation. This is like, from that McFarlane Spawn era where you're getting a lot of detail, nice size figure, realistic interpretation of everything, but there's like no articulation on this thing whatsoever. He's got hips, he's got a waist, he's got a neck and shoulders, and the shoulders are like, you got the hinge, you got the forward, that's it. We've got a couple of Supermen here. This is, we got Man of Steel, Henry Cavill, which is, it's a really good figure, for the era, for Mattel, and I know it wasn't that long ago, but when this figure came out, I was really excited about the movie because I hadn't seen it yet. The trailer sold me on the whole concept. The music was there, the look was there, after I got used to the, no shorts and the weird little bits that were added to the suit. But I was really excited for this figure and I wanted to make sure I had it. I pre-ordered it. I don't do that, or at least I didn't used to. I do it all the time now that you can't really go to stores as much. Everything's pre-ordered, everything's ordered online. But yeah, I really wanted to make sure I had this figure. I thought for sure it was gonna sell out. I thought the movie was gonna be so big that you just weren't gonna be able to find this thing. I was wrong, but I was glad that I got it. And it's still a nice figure. Cloth cape would help it, but we've also got the, I don't know if this was actually, this figure was released twice, like DC Universe Classics put it out. It's the new 52 Superman with the blockier S, the Jim Lee choker collar, and then again, no trunks. This was another one. I really dug this figure. I'm a big Superman fan. I have a pretty good Superman figure collection, so I have both of these in my collection already, but they're still really nice figures. And then this is ridiculous. You know what? I'm gonna go here first. The Final Fantasy VII relaunch, reboot, remake just came out. I don't have the time. I don't have the time for Dragon Ball Z. I do not have the time for going through and replaying all of Final Fantasy VII. That's one of my key video game memories is playing through that thing when it came out the first time in the 90s. Pulling up the game info screen and finding out exactly how much of your life you had committed to playing that game and seeing that like 87 hours pop up and going like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of time. They need to take that functionality out of this thing. But these were the only figures at the time that were available for the characters from the game, and I had all of these. I currently only have Cloud, so it's cool to see Barrett again, cool to see Aerith again, or Aerith, and cool to see Tifa, whose arm fell off, Tifa again. They're very simple pieces. They're like, the articulation is really incidental to how they're made, I don't know how they were sold in Japan. In the US, they were sold in, single packed blister cards, where there was like a set that had 4 or 5 figures in it. But they made everybody. Red 13, Sid, Sephiroth, all the figures were there, and I had all of them when they were originally released. So very cool to see these. And they didn't try to make them more realistic, but they're also not that like blocky, pixelated kind of look. So really good stuff. The stands are here, the weapons are here. Those are great. And keeping with the Final Fantasy VII theme, this is ridiculous. Not only is Cloud here, and this is the Final Fantasy VII, what was it called? Advent Children, which I think was the movie that I never saw. But this was the more realistic interpretation of the characters. He's got this like half trench coat deal going on, and just a more realistic, there's really no other way to say it. It's a more realistic interpretation of the characters. I'm sure it was a little darker because it was more mature, and probably this Buster Sword, I want to say there's a version of this that like collapses down and expands and whatever. They had to give it some sort of functionality beyond just being a giant sword. But, you know, this was a box set that came with the whole ridiculous motorcycle, which this thing looks alive. Get the kickstand out of the way here. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. It looks like it's, you know, it looks like a xenomorph on wheels. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know if he can actually sit on here and operate this thing, but it is an absolutely gorgeous bike. It's even got like a little bit of suspension here. Just insane. I remember seeing this, you know, in the box in probably like Electronics Boutique or, you know, some kind of collectibles place that would sell this type of stuff. I don't think Toys R Us or any of those sorts of outlets carried this, but that is, I've never had any of these figures, so this is, it's really cool just to be able to take a look at this. That's the thing I really appreciate about, you know, stuff like this when people send these sorts of things in, is getting to see things that I've never seen before, that I've never been able to, you know, put my hands on. Seen shots on Instagram over social media, but never really got to sort of judge it for myself. And that's something that I really appreciate and get into, especially older stuff, you know. There's a couple of, man, there's still so much stuff in this box. There's a couple of Batmans. This one's 2 different Christian Bale Batman figures. Most likely, so we got Batman Begins and probably Dark Knight. I think one's more armored than the other, and I'm not sure. I think this is Dark Knight because he actually has the blades are sort of flexed out, and they look like they actually launch off of his gauntlets. This one definitely looks more like the League of Shadows version of him. So I'm gonna go Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and then there's also a lot of Batman stuff in here. This looks more like a Jim Lee. I'm not sure which specific release this is. It's like a DC Collectibles, you know, standard, like, looks good interpretation of the artist's work, not very posable, but still, you know, still a nice looking, sort of imposing, blocky Jim Lee kind of figure. And then over here, more DC Collectibles stuff. We've got Metallo in one of his, I don't remember which series this is from, but he's got like the big steam shovel arm looking like Devastator over here. But then on the other side, he's got like, you know, half skeleton. And he's got his little kryptonite heart on the inside. I'm pretty sure his face, yeah, his face comes off as well. So he's got the metal skull underneath, which is just a really cool interpretation of the character. Ed McGuinness Batman. Ed McGuinness Shazam. I have quite a few Shazam figures. Don't have that one. That's cool. And then a Ed McGuinness Adam. Captain Adam? Adam. I don't remember. But all good figures. Big Ed McGuinness fan. But I didn't have any of these, so that's really... Here's another Goku. This one is a little more torn up than this one. This one's pretty torn up, but, you know, he's exposed, chest hanging out, bare feet. I don't know. I don't know anything about Dragon Ball Z. I'm sorry. We've got quite a few. Got some X-Men figures here. This is like old Toybiz stuff. I think both of these are Joe Madureira figures. We've got an Apocalypse, which might be from Age of Apocalypse. Not 100% sure, but there's no doubt that that's a Joe Mad style. I've never really been a big Apocalypse fan. I know he gets a lot of love for being, you know, one of the key X-Men supervillains, and I loved him the first time around. And it's just one of those things where I'm like, man, he just would have been so much more special if he'd have just stayed dead. You know, he had a nice arc, you know, the 4 Horsemen of Apocalypse, his storyline with Cyclops, and just, you know, and then you bring him back from the dead, and it kind of makes all that stuff seem less impactful, less important. This is the Magneto turned evil, well, eviler, after he turned into Onslaught. And this is actually, you know, for all the great stuff that Marvel Legends has done with Onslaught, the 2 different versions that they've released as Build-A-Figures. This one has the little tiny Professor Xavier and a glass dome on his back all squished up in there, and then a little snap-on piece to really complete that Onslaught look. This box just keeps on going. We got Punisher, which I believe was a Diamond Select version based on the Tim Bradstreet artwork. I want to say this guy came with a pinball machine, had like a little diorama, because you know, Marvel Select, Diamond Select was always giving you those extra diorama pieces, stuff, you know, included with it. This is a Toybiz Spider-Man Classics. This one definitely based off the work of Todd McFarlane. It is not the McFarlane Spider-Man that has way more articulation than this. He's got like the butterfly shoulders and all that stuff. This one is just the sort of simple, basic mold that got used over and over again. He's got the, you know, movable fingers, which not a big fan of finger articulation, but it works well enough for this Spider-Man. So another one I didn't have. This I haven't seen in a while. This is the original. This isn't the Legacy version, but Green Ranger dagger. I didn't put any batteries. I probably should put, since I knew we were doing this again, I probably should put some batteries to actually see if it works, if it plays. But this was one of those things where, like, I wasn't really that into Power Rangers specifically, but I had a younger brother who was definitely into Power Rangers, so these kinds of things found their way into the house anyway, and so I was able to check them out and be like, yeah, you know, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's, you know, not.
I'm a little too old, a little too cool to be collecting Power Rangers.
And to not be back to Power Rangers yet. So it was nice to be able to have that connection and, you know, bond with my brother through that kind of stuff. This is all of the rings. These were promotional rings that they gave out from at different comic shops during the whole Green Lantern, when they were really rolling out all the different colors. You know, green and yellow had been around for a while, but this was the whole spectrum of emotion, and then also then, you know, the promotion was so popular that they were able to go through the entire spectrum. Offered this stuff up as you know, lit up rings that you could buy in a whole set together, but you also got the black, the death, the life. And then they followed it up around the same time with a flash ring. So I did collect all of these. I even have a couple of other different promotional Green Lantern rings that were released years before. I have a nice little ring collection. So these are, it's just, you know, and I feel like they had finally hit the right sort of style that even though they were free, cheap, easy to produce, they still looked really cool, you know, and the way that they're made, they fit different finger sizes, and they knew who their audience was. You know, these aren't kid sizes. There's a couple of the earlier Green Lantern promotional rings that just don't fit the adult collector hands. Last thing in this box, I have a complicated relationship with. When Shadows of the Empire came out, it was a big deal. You know, it was the first, you know, real event canon thing to happen, you know, since the original trilogy, and it was going to be all over the place, you know, video games, books, comics, toys. It was a whole thing. All it was missing was a big, you know, actual movie theater release. So it was weird to me that they chose to go with a vehicle and a character in Dash Rendar, who's in the cockpit here with all of his stuff, that was so similar to a Han, a Luke, and the Millennium Falcon. You know, in universe it makes sense, fine. It's, you know, there's a manufacturer that makes spaceships and they all kind of look the same. It's the Corvette, it's the Ford, whatever. There's going to be design things that all sort of match up. But it was like, really, you know, you're going to try to start this new branch of Star Wars and you're going to introduce a ship that kind of looks like the Millennium Falcon. It's not exactly like the Falcon. There's a lot of things about it that make it different. You know, this one's kind of like if the Millennium Falcon and a B-Wing had a baby. If I can remember how to do this. There we go. It's far enough away now. It's been long enough. Enough stuff has happened with Star Wars since then. that I can look at it and say, you know what, it is cool. There's a lot of other spaceships that have been created since then. You know, this thing has actually appeared, you know, sort of in the background, and, you know, I can resentfully look at the movie and go like, yeah, I know what that is, you know, like, even though I didn't care for it, you know, for so many years. It's the type of thing that I can appreciate now and say, you know what, maybe we should see, you know, maybe the Marvel Legends or a Black Series does need to put out a Dash Rendar. Maybe it's time. You know, maybe it's time to have a nicer version of the Outrider here. Prince Shizor you can keep. I'm not interested in revisiting that, but you know, it took some time, but you know, it's neat to see this again. It's neat to be able to you know, appreciate it this time around, because I definitely did not buy it the first. I'm sorry. Did you have a question?
But is it still canon?
Is this still canon? Oh, this is absolutely still canon. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff got nuked in terms of the expanded universe, but I don't think Shadows of the Empire. Anyway, enough of that stuff has been reintroduced into canon. Shizor showed up in an episode of Rebels, so it's canon-ish. It's canon enough. It's still good. So that's everything that was in this box. Second time around, it did not diminish the degree to which I am honored and blown away by how much stuff was included in here and how much stuff that Andre sent in all the way from Toronto. That's in Canada.
Hey.
Yeah, right. So Andre, thank you very much for sending that in. Thank you very much to everybody for watching this. With any luck, you actually were able to watch this because all the technical issues got taken care of this time. And with any luck going forward, we'll be able to keep doing it this way. And who knows, maybe I'll actually relax a little bit and be comfortable with doing these videos this way. We'll see. Stranger things have happened. I don't know. Thanks for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe if you're not a subscriber already. Thank you very much to those of you who are already subscribers. Do all the other things, share it, tag your friends. I don't know what you do. Thanks. Later.